What? We got a quiz in 10 minutes. Let's go. Yeah. Homework 7. Oh, how was it? How was it? Same here. I gotta go back. I'm not worth that. No, it's not worth pointing for so wide. Oh, okay. I didn't have it. Like every other set you had. I didn't have it. Like, no failing by time, right? Whatever. But if it was it's not even time. Correct me. That should happen. So I guess we'll take either active or active.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, everyone, the quiz begins in 10 minutes. I have given it several look-throughs. I do not think there are any issues, but if you do run into anything that seems ambiguous or unfair on this quiz, please reach out. Please send me an email or a DM or just let me know after the quiz is done, and I will look back through it, and you'll get points back if I agree, okay? We have 9 minutes to go. Shouldn't be too bad. Hopefully, you're feeling okay with Lua, at least a little bit to start. And yeah, see you in 9 minutes.
I started making something. Not much. I started just like I haven't. It's a moving house. So I started this. It's supposed to. They don't work. They could be that, or they're just. Could be. Yeah. I don't think who knows, but it's just first pictures I could think of. Background and also. I'm so happy, especially this one. Just never stop. That was my issue. I'm
Oh
gonna
yeah,
be
like
so
Dark Souls
annoyed.
monster.
Because I could have gone, I wasted so much time.
I didn't bother. I
Also
also
response. Exactly.
But then it's not a response. One response is when you press the button. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Because they still snap down and then.
That's
Not the main action.
No, I am meeting.
you can
That's the first one I do. Still do that.
kind of sort of turn it.
Yeah.
Like,
Like, they do a lot to tweak it to make it feel better. But it is like the difference between that. Yeah. Or even just in like. Yeah. Where it's like literally 1 or 2 frames. Yeah. I am trying to watch it here, but I don't think it applies to any principles.
Part of it was to make it former, like you have a face.
I think that'd be cool. I think that's a good like, piece of animation that we're not using. It's basically the only action they Yeah. Are we going to have one? Especially with
I use actual pointer.
I do that. Oh yeah. Just scale it.
Yeah, everything is a pointer to the accurate grade.
Yeah. Oh.
More of a Sandy question. I think it was
That's why I thought top that over you.
and
But yeah, I go. Do you have some vector?
no.
I have multiple active.
No.
So yes, I do.
Does that mean I can use Wi-Fi the
Oh.
internet?
What happened?
I'm deleting. No, I deleted. That's fine. No?
Yes, that's what I do.
So what the?
Also,
Yeah,
my
so
solution not guaranteed to work. It just works as one test. So I'm letting.
Okay, ladies, gentlemen, everyone, 3 minutes remain until the quiz opens. Please get Canvas ready to go. You will have 20 minutes. A reminder, these quizzes are open note and open internet. Please do not talk with those around you or anyone remotely. 4 minutes. 4 minutes remain. Okay. All right. Most of you should be finished by now. Hopefully it wasn't too bad. I know that there were a couple on there that did involve reading some code fairly closely, fairly carefully. For those of you who are using your open note, open internet nature of the quiz to your advantage, using GPT, using an interpreter, right, typing code in, first of all, very smart, good job. But remember, it's not going to be available to you on that final exam, okay? And so you are going to want to practice Lua. You're going to want to try and get this stuff to feel more natural, right, more normal, so that when the exam comes, yes, you'll have a glossary and appendix to help you out, but you will be able to just go, okay? You'll be able to just go. You won't need open notes. You won't need open internet because you won't get either, okay? All right. So welcome back to another week of EECS 498. As you can see on our schedule right here, we're getting close, okay? There's not that much more to go before we hit that exam and the course enters its kind of cool down period, okay? We have 1 week for homework 8. We're going to talk about that today. Homework 8 is not the heaviest homework in the world, and homework 9 is not looking to be the heaviest either. But hopefully homework 7 went well for you. That was just due half an hour ago. In my opinion, as far as a lot of your feedback seems to suggest, I think someone last night said it was magical. It was a magical feeling. And the reason they said it was magical is because as you work on your engine, as you implement that component architecture, as you call the lifecycle functions at the right time, the games, each of your test case kind of being a game in itself, come to life right before your eyes, like magic, right? And that really is the magic of being a game engine developer as opposed to a game developer themselves. You are the bedrock, you're the foundation upon which other people stand, okay? And that's a very important place to be. It's a very powerful place to be. And you have to constantly be thinking about your users. What do they need from you? How can you protect them from themselves? How can you be as fast as possible so that your users, your game designers, can have the fastest code possible? Even if they write poor code, it will still be fast, okay? So, kind of an interesting philosophical place to be, and a very good thing to talk about in interviews as well, okay? That time you became a developer that wrote code for other developers, okay? Code that other people's code would have to stand upon and rely upon. It's a powerful, powerful position, lots of responsibility. Today, we've got a game engine. We'll go through it pretty quickly. This is a game engine that may look very familiar to you. Does this look unique? Does this look similar to something else that you've heard of? Yes? DDR, absolutely. DDR, Dance Dance Revolution. I was going to jokingly say, yes, it looks similar to In the Groove, which if you don't know, In the Groove is the off-brand, like diagonal arrow version of DDR. You see it at a lot of arcades that didn't want to purchase the expensive DDR stations instead. It was initially released around 2001. It was created by Chris Danford, and it was famous for basically being an open source clone, an open source implementation of DDR. There is a GitHub repository, it being open source. Well, here it is. Here's the source. Okay. Looks like they haven't had a commit in years, however, which is a little bit concerning. Has it been forked? In any case, Wikipedia article on it. One of the most interesting things about this engine is that it was initially licensed incorrectly. It was licensed in a regrettable way that the authors later wanted to change. So originally, the license for this engine was GPL. Now, do you recall why GPL makes everyone scared? It's the opposite why everyone loves the MIT license. If you use GPL software, it is free, and you can alter it, you can use it. You can even use it commercially. But if you make any changes, then what do you have to do?
Is that the one where you have to publish your source code?
Bingo. You have to publish your source code, okay, to the public, and you have to release it under that same license. So other people can take your changes and can sell that, okay? This is why, famously, Sony prefers BSD versus Linux for their game consoles, okay? So what happened? Well, the original authors licensed the engine under GPL. Later, however, they wanted to release In the Groove, okay? In the Groove, like I just said, is that kind of sort of off-brand version. Actually, no. The Diagonal version is different. In the Groove is a different arcade machine. But in any case, this was a commercial thing. They wanted to make customizations to Stepmania. The engine, they wanted to change it. They wanted to customize it for their commercial product. And they didn't want to just have it be released like the GPL would require. So they had to do a conversion to the MIT license, and they did. You know what that involved? You can't just say, this is GPL now, we decided. Because every person who ever contributed to the engine did so under the assumption that it would be GPL, and they maintain that right to have all their contributions remain under GPL. So what do they have to do to get it converted to MIT license?
Do they have to go to every single person who's contributed and be like, hey, can you convert it to MIT?
They had to go find every single person who ever contributed to the engine, and they had to convince them to agree to switch to MIT license. Okay? And what a massive pain that must have been to hunt everyone down, contact them. I believe their only alternative is to cut out all the contributions of that person if they couldn't be reached. Maybe they just don't check their email that often. Okay? There are 1,000 reasons the conversion to MIT license would have been a big pain in the butt. Okay? But they did do it, and as a result, they've got it going. Okay? Stepmania is installed on my computer. I'm not gonna play it for you, but I will show you this footage right here. This is Stepmania at GDC, and I want you to take note of just how customized it is. Stepmania, being an open engine, allows people to get in there and make some very funky stuff. Okay, and I believe they actually use Lua for the scripting language, and they have a concept of actors. Now let's take a look. Look at all of these customizable options. My goodness.
1.2 or 1.0? Oh yeah. So you guys wondering where are the notes and where are they going to come from? Well, there you go. There they are.
So he's reading two different scroll directions at the same exact time, while the notes are also spinning. And also you can't see where where you need to hit the notes because the receptors are gone as well.
Yeah, you just got to kind of take a gander at where they are.
You can kind of see from where you're hitting it, but...
Oops.
So in case you didn't notice, the notes, they come in, they become visible, but they're not in their correct orientation until they reach the trigger point, at which point they've rotated. And so you have to be very careful. Also, they're going in two different directions, so you can't focus your eyes on the bottom or the top. You have to kind of understand both. Yeah, oh goodness. I think at some point in this video, all the notes go invisible. Yeah, it's such a nice lull in the song, very peaceful. Catch your breath, you know? All right, so very impressive stuff. There's a guide to the scripting in Stepmania, so the developer guide, the Lua API, Where have we seen that before? So you've got definitions for sprites, for sounds, for quads. I'm guessing it might be a pain, but you could probably make a platformer or a shmup game in Stepmania. While you hit notes, you can be playing this platformer game, maybe. Might be interesting. You can draw graphics, get a quad going on, 3D graphics. That sounds like 3D stuff. Yeah, there's actor stuff. You can get X to get the location, I suppose. The quads, sprites, blah, 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 blah. Commands, rotation. Oh, my goodness. If only the A2 engine had documentation like this, we might actually build some games. That would be pretty cool. You can force full screen, it seems, onto the player at any moment, which would be really fun right in the middle of a song, seeing your operating system struggle to get it, right up there as you tap away. Okay. Anyway, it's very interesting to look into these engines and all that good stuff. It has a built-in beat map editor, which allows you to build your own songs right in the game itself. In fact, WikiHow apparently has but only low bad rating, 47%. That's not a passing grade. But it's got tools that allow you to go in and edit a song. And so you can go in and you can play back the song to make sure it feels good for you. You can save it. You can play it. I'm not entirely sure how you distribute it. That'd be a nice sixth step here, but I guess there's no sixth step. I'm not exactly sure what file format the engine stores songs in. But you can check it out. It is open source and free. You can have fun with it. Question?
Oh, I was just wondering if, if someone made a contribution and someone built on top of that contribution,
Yeah.
and the person originally made it wasn't available to give them permission, and then what the person who built on top of it did, how would that work legally?
I don't think it would legally, but I'm not a lawyer. So the magic thing about a lot of the law is that if no one complains, there's no problem. So it's also could be true that they got a critical mass of 95% of people were okay with the MIT license switch, and they just decided that the remaining 5% were going to be AFK and would never complain, and they just rolled with it and said, "Hey, we're MIT now," and hope that the question never comes up again. Okay, like in a court. On occasion, you hear of open source projects that are very annoyed at a big company like Sony because they decided to use a GPL licensed piece of their software in a big product. And Sony isn't responding to our emails. What do we do? Do we have enough money to sue them? No. Well, I guess that's the end of the story. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I think that is on occasion how it happens, or what happens, right? Okay. So, some quick announcements. How did Homework 7 go? I want to hear it from you. I got some feedback and stuff. You should fill out that feedback form. Please let me know how you're feeling and what edits you might make if you want to make any. But I'm really curious just how it went, how it felt to go. Because that was a 3-week homework assignment after a bunch of 1-week homework assignments. So some people got it finished super quickly and said it's too easy. I kid you not. I can show you the feedback. Others are still kind of working on it, getting it finished. We got a few people catching up on homework 6. You haven't fallen too far behind if that's you, but we do need to get caught up if we can. Yep.
Went pretty well. There are definitely some pitfalls that I fell in, how one of the components would set another component's enabled to false, in the Lua script, and then I'd only check component classes enabled, and I didn't check the Lua ref
instance
enabled.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, but that was just here and there with all the Lua and C++ stuff just going on.
Yeah.
So it was that, and then some other. I felt it was kind of easy to make some smaller bugs, just with all these life cycle functions going on.
Yep.
But you just have to have to walk through your code and figure that out. But other than that, it went pretty well.
Good.
A lot of my not a lot of it. Some of my homework 6 code kind of worked well, and that with only a little bit of changing, and that was good.
Yeah.
It was very nice to not have to worry too much about all that.
Good. Very good. Yep. Glad you had a good experience. Yeah, the feedback told me that our lecturers had given too much away for homework 7. And so maybe next semester I'm going to scrap some stuff. Say, hey, you just have to figure it out. Right? Hey, that's life, you know. That's what I had to do, making the assignment. No, I'm not going to do that. No, it's okay if we have one easier assignment in the middle of the course, and I'm not even convinced it's that easy. Yes?
It wasn't particularly easy, but it was nice that it felt like we had everything available.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of going through, like, instant gratification game style.
Yeah.
Just watching the number go up. It's so much fun, especially with the 3
Oh,
weeks
yeah.
of living room.
Yeah.
And then, by the time you're done with it, it's very, very cool.
Last night, I watched as one student submitted like on the hour, every hour. And I'm expecting like 2 a.m., they're going to go to sleep. And then the next one comes in, 3 a.m., they're going to go to sleep. And then I go to sleep. I wake up at 8 a.m., and I see there was a submission at 4, 5, 6, 7, and hey, another one just came in. And I think this person got up to like 95% and finally is sleeping now, which they deserve. Yes.
So I thought that the debugging aspects were slightly harder than most other projects because
Yeah.
you can't really see inside the stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of addicted to the debugger.
Yeah.
And,
Good.
So they're just kind of a black box at that point. So I actually ended up just doing like cout debugging, which wasn't very fun. But other than that, it went fairly well.
The cout debugging is my domain.
Yes.
No, I use debugger for really hard stuff, but usually I'm too lazy. Yes.
I feel like once you learned the Lua, it was mostly just gate stuff. Writing the code, none of it was like particularly difficult to wrap your head around, which is possible.
Yeah, definitely agree. Yep.
I think we need an application open URL, so we're never going to give you up.
That would be funny for a test case. There's actually no test case that tests that function because I wasn't sure how to do it. The sheer amount of infrastructure I'd have to create just to test that one darn function means that I put it in the assignment spec, so you can't be entirely sure. You might as well implement it. But actually, there's no test case for it. There is a test case for application.sleep or thread.sleep. What is it called again?
Probably application.
I think application does.
Yeah, that one's kind of cool the way it's checked. But it actually uses the operating system, the OS table, to figure out how much time has passed after that sleep function is called. And if it's a certain amount of time has passed, it'll print one thing. Otherwise, it'll print a different thing. And so you just need to make sure that you're doing what the autograder does in printing the successful thing and not the other. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Good. Please fill out your feedback form. That is easy extra credit. And at some point, I'm going to do something to prevent people from just dumping all their feedback that they don't remember in the at the very end of the year. On occasion, I'll be looking and about to tally all the extra credit points, and then I'll see someone submit for every assignment like it was good. It was good. Homework 2, it was good. Homework 3, it was good. Homework 4, it was good. And like, dang, they got me. They got me on a loophole. But eventually, I'll introduce a policy where like you got like 5 days or 7 days to issue feedback. Then it just won't count it because I do have timestamps. Okay, cool. All right. A quick note: if you ever lose a bunch of time to some sort of misunderstanding or any sort of API related stuff, like using the wrong functions, please reach out and ping me. I want to know how your time is getting burned, especially when it's getting burned for nothing. Okay? The autograder and the course's design is trying to make sure that the time you invest in the course is time well spent, i.e., for every minute you dump in, you're learning. If you dump in 3 hours and it was for a really dumb reason where you didn't notice something, I don't want you burning that time. You didn't gain anything from that. And so please let me know when that happens, because sometimes I can have the autograder be upgraded to scan through your code base and find out when you're doing this and just quickly point out when you did something bad, okay? And as more of those features and tips and hints get in, as more of those autograder warnings get in, future versions of the course become way nicer and smoother for everyone. So that's how a course actually gets good over time. but I rely on you to find out what those problems are because I don't know what mistakes we're going to make. I just know what mistakes I made when I was making the engine. Okay, so this is backpacking season, okay? Registration season, okay? I hope you all get all the courses that you're looking for. All of you graduating, this next part is not super relevant to you, but congratulations on your graduation. There's a new course. There are 2 courses that may be of interest to you next semester in the fall. One of them is a course I'm going to shill until the end of time. Well, actually, I'm just going to be shilling it until the end of registration. This is the one I won't shut up about. It's EECS 298. This is the course where finally people start paying attention to our game dev projects because they actually look kind of good, okay? That has historically been the major problem for EECS 494, EECS 440 projects, Wolverine Soft Studio projects. They're well designed under the hood. They scale and are well engineered under the hood, but they usually look very simple, despite very good efforts, right? The students do a good job, but we just don't have 3D art skills. We just don't have a whole lot of experience with quickly creating cool characters, cool environments, cool models, meshes, objects, armatures, animations, all that good stuff. And as a result, we don't get as much out of these projects as we should, okay? Wolverine Soft should be winning awards. More of our 494 teams should be getting 5-figure publishing deals. Only one has in my, almost 10 years of teaching it. And I want to change that. And so, EECS 298, we're going to get really good at Blender. You're going to have a big portfolio of objects. You're going to have at least a handful of fully playable characters with a bunch of different animations, jumping, running, emotions, right? Maybe some combat. We were talking about that today. And they're going to be integrated into Unity. So not only will you be able to make the cool art assets, but you'll be able to get them into Unity working really well as well. Creating animators, getting special effects like dynamic hair moving, getting lava flowing, getting characters to look at things nearby. So you're going to have your own Mario 3D World style platformer with your own characters, your own narrative, multiplayer by default at the end of the semester. You'll also have some things you photogrammetried, bringing real-world objects into the digital world, and you'll have the reverse, bringing digital objects into the physical world. We're going to 3D print a few of your models that you make throughout the semester, okay? So 3D printing, going to be fun. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've got for this. I'm really nervous about enrollment for this one. It's kind of a weird course. It's an art course in the EECS department, so we're going to want to jam enrollment as high as we can and get this knowledge out there. So this is all to say, I will beg you once again, consider the course if it seems relevant to you, and please tell your friends and family, okay? If you know anyone artsy, there's a good chance they do not know about this course. I have had some struggles with marketing and advertising. This is like the really uncomfortable 3-week period for me where I have to contort myself from being an engineer into being a marketer. And that's just not how I am. So any help I can get, I really, really appreciate. Thank you. Yes?
You have to go full used car salesman.
Full used car salesman, okay. You can fit so much knowledge into this bad boy, okay. And yeah, I think it's going to be a great time. If nothing else, I really hope that in a couple of years, all the 494 and 440 projects look 1,000 times better. Because we've had a few students who take 494 and have Blender knowledge, and their projects tend to be a noticeable step above every other projects just by having one student who kind of sort of knows some Blender. They end up with really nice 3D aesthetics, and everything is really great. So anyway, imagine if we took 4 months and we were actually good at it. You know, some of us even great because you get addicted to this stuff. Blender is super fun. It's a really fun topic. Anyway, I'll stop talking about this, but I'm going to keep shilling it probably in future lectures. So thank you. Thank you for your patience. EECS 494 is a fairly well-known course around here. We're making game engines in this course, but it really matters to be really good at using engines. And so I will say that everyone who took this course a year ago, quite a few of them took 494 the next year as their capstone, and they crushed it. Okay, they already had a good feel for how game engines function, what component architectures are like, how to design a game to use a bunch of small components and work really well, how to maintain dry. And so 494 is a really good fit if you've taken this upper level CS. It'll be a very natural fit. It is focused entirely on Unity. While the course is famous for its difficulty and time investment, it will take much less time for you because you're starting from a place of very good knowledge. We have a much, much deeper exploration of game design and UX. What makes a game run, right? We explore that, but also what makes a game fun and engaging. That is a very, very difficult topic, okay? You can make something that runs, but can you make it fun? Super difficult. And many design topics we will explore and talk about and practice in 494. It also goes deep on a few different architectural patterns than what we explore in this course. And one of the projects, the first project is you making actually Legend of Zelda or Metroid. Classic games, 1986 Nintendo games. Question, how many of you have already taken 494? Okay, dang. How many of you have not taken 494? Okay, so all right, it's still worth talking about. All right, but the first project in 494 is recreating Legend of Zelda for the NES or Metroid for the NES. You don't have to recreate the whole thing. You just do a tiny portion at the beginning, the first dungeon for Zelda or the first region for Metroid. And then at the end of the assignment, you build a custom area, a custom map with a custom mechanic. This was a genius mechanic. Why would you put lava in this part of the room? You start the game, you get the motorbike, and you've got lava. What's the point of doing this? Jose?
You eliminate your first pass to use the bike.
Yes. This first room is designed with one purpose in mind, to teach you one of the most important features of the bike. If you have the bike, you can jump over lava tiles, okay? If you don't have the bike, you won't be able to escape this room. Thus, you introduce an interesting decision, an interesting game mechanic, but you also must guide it. You must teach it. So you start showing different uses for this mechanic. First room shows you the jump. Second room demonstrates that you can run over tiny enemies if you have this motorbike. The next few rooms show you that as you go on this bike, you go faster. And the faster you go on the bike, the further you can jump. Okay? A super important mechanic that plays into the rest of the dungeon really well. So you see, designing a game, right, is not just about is it fun or not. You must teach players. Okay, you introduce new ideas, new decisions to make that really matter. They're consequential, and then you guide them. You help players learn them elegantly without using any nasty text. Okay? We then go and make super large games. I'm going to show you this trailer really quickly, one of my favorite ever, and then we'll go ahead and get to the main content of the day. This is for a student-made game called Buccaneer Booty Battle. This is a trailer which every team must make, and you're going to see why I like this trailer pretty quickly.
Among the seven seas there lie a dark and desolate cove. The home to such a scary fright you'd never thought you'd know. A hungry, angry goblin chest who starve and thirst for treasure. You pirates better leave lest he bury ye forever. Roll yourselves around the cove and scavenge ye some gold. Bring boulders with cannon and blast away your foes. Select the treasure quickly and be sure to dodge the cannon. And shoot them into the frosty mountain this sorry famine. So aim and shoot and sail and pass, and don't forget the battle. And fight your way to victory in this Buccaneer Booty Battle.
Right? So incredible work by the team. Really quickly, this team had a really genius solution to a common problem. This is a game that's very fast, very action-focused, and we want the players to be looking at the action in the center of the screen. Well, the team had a problem. In this game, you can collect coins, and when you collect them, they're stored. You want to hit people who have a lot of coins because they'll spill the coins and lose them. Well, in the original version of the game, the team just had numbers, 4 numbers at the top of the screen, and each number said how many points or how many coins each player had. What's the problem with that? The gameplay was sluggish, it was nasty, players didn't really enjoy it. What's the problem with storing important information, like the number of coins you have, in a UI text at the top of the screen? Yes?
Because you want to be looking at the screen the whole time.
Bingo, right? We don't want players looking at the top of the screen when all of the interesting action is at the center of the screen. You move your eyes to the top of the screen, you're going to get shot, okay? Or you're going to miss something. And so, what did the team do? They said, we can take the information out of the UI and we can encode it into the game world itself. In this case, they started to show coins piling up on the deck of the ship. Thus, the more coins you get, the more visually you pop out of the screen, the easier you are to notice, and thus a negative feedback loop was created that brings super successful players back to the pack and keeps the game very competitive, okay? So that's the kind of really interesting and successful design stuff we're looking for in this course and that we study very carefully, all right? At the very end of the semester, we've got a big, massive showcase event. It's a good time. If you're into game dev or like this course, then 494, please consider it, okay? Credit considerations, yeah, blah, 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 blah. You can only take one capstone course. You can only take one capstone course and have it really count toward graduation. A second capstone does not become an upper-level CS, okay? You only need one capstone or MDE course to graduate. I think you need like 4 to upper-level CS courses like this one to graduate. So, okay, and then EECS 440 will not be offered next semester. It is winters only, but this is the XR course where you learn Unreal Engine and VR and AR. It's the only course that teaches Unreal, which is definitely something you want, as there are many jobs that require it. But yeah, Wolverine Soft Studio runs every semester. It's like the Solar Car team. It's a student-run studio. You release your games to Steam and itch.io. You receive college credit, course credit for participating on that game dev team. If you think that merging is difficult when you have a team of 2 or 3 or 4, imagine how difficult it's going to be when you've got a team of 20 to 30. And you get quite a bit better at all of that as you participate on a team like this one. Okay, Wolverine Soft, you can check out all their projects right here on the itch.io page, and a lot of these are on Steam as well. Okay, yeah, very cool games. Good art on here too, but most of these games are 2D and don't have a ton of art. Only a few have 3D art. Rideshare Rampage has some 3D art going on. You remember if this is just asset store bundles? Anyone remember?
I think this was before
Assets. Okay. Man, time. Whew. Goes fast. Okay. All right. I think that's it. Does anyone have any questions on any of these courses? These fabulous course offerings. The students from like 2017 will be watering their mouth because all they had was 494. Pretty much. Yes. Yes, absolutely. So that's a super important part of EECS 298. It is my first open to anyone, no prereqs course. I don't know if I'm going to regret this or not, but it is a course open to anyone. It assumes nothing. So it assumes that you have no programming background and no art background, okay? And so we're going to be starting from scratch. For STAMP students, it has elective credit. So it might be particularly useful to STAMP students. For CS students, it's Flex Tech. So it has some use to CS students as well. For other departments, I don't know. I imagine it probably counts for something, but yes.
Do we get creative expression for LSA?
Not yet. I haven't gotten confirmation of that yet, but yeah, I'm going to ask. Yeah, and then, oh, by the way, if you go to EECS298.com, this is a sample, a small sample of the kind of game you might end up with. So it is a 3D platformer. It will be web build, so it'll be super easy to share with friends and family. And when you do, your friends and family will show up in the game, and you'll be able to see them here. I don't think anyone else is currently playing the game. Oh, there's someone. I think I think Prince Random's character view is wigging out a little bit. He looks like he's... Oh, okay, we fixed. You can switch characters with the C key, so Prince Random looks amazing when you're playing as him. So you'll make your own characters, you'll make your own enemies, your own NPCs, your own narrative, your own collectibles. So this level right here, I made these trees in like 5 minutes. This is a level about like a big tree has invaded the area, and you spend the level climbing up this tree. And sometimes you are jumping on these little generic platforms and avoiding spikes, but sometimes you can see over there, you are platforming up the like branches and of the tree itself, which feels really cool. Anyway, this is also a Kaizo level. Let me see here. This is a Kaizo level. I made it harder. So if anyone gets to the end of it, maybe I'll give you a sticker or something. I don't have a sticker, but I would give you one if I had one. Yeah, it's not that hard. Just look at me play right here.
What in the shit jump is this?
Yeah, it also has mobile controls. So if you can believe it, I can also do this on mobile. Ask me during office hours and I'll show it to you. Yep, jumping and... Yeah. Should we add combat? I was thinking of like third-person shooter elements too. Like, we want these games to be as diverse as possible because at the end of the semester showcase, we're going to have 50 different games, hopefully, except they're different only in aesthetics and narrative and environmental art. They're still all 3D platformers. So we want to help students customize them and make them different if possible. Yeah.
If you have combat, are you going to be able to like punch
Bye-bye.
other players off a platform?
Rest in peace. Probably not, but that would actually be one of the simpler things for me to add. So,
Really
okay, a quick tip, because we don't have the online multiplayer course yet. I'm working on that one in the background too. Doing passive multiplayer where you just send like the vector 3 position of a player to a server, and then the server collects them all and sends them all out to every connected client. That's easy. It's very low stakes. Hard to mess that up. As soon as you want to synchronize things, like you've got an enemy that has to like be hit by one player and it gets killed by one player and disappears for everyone, that is hellish. Okay? Much harder to do. It's relatively easy to say a player punched at this location. If anyone is near this location, move yourself away. And it's even harder if you want this to be secure, so server authoritative, instead of just trusting the clients. We can trust all the clients in this game because the stakes are so low. Oh, go, go, go. Yeah, you got it. Come on.
Come on, buddy.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, dude. Oh, no.
I've never done it.
Oh, rest in peace. Okay. Anyway, so that's my shilling of all these courses. Anyone else have any? Yeah, and like misconceptions like that. Like, oh, course looks cool, but it's an EECS course. I can't take it. No, you can take it. You can definitely take it. Like I need help to spread the word, and so people know they can take this stuff. Yeah.
I know UArts did this with 150.
Yeah.
It was an engineering 100 equivalent. Is there a way to like have this class be like a class under two different names, kind of like how
There is. Yep.
That
And
might be a way to
yeah.
help solve because like you publish it as each student in one circle,
Yep.
but then other circles in the department.
Yep. I'll look into that for sure. For sure. I'd love to do that. But I think we need to get a good enrollment and good evals first before.
I was just wondering what the process of that bureaucratic hell is going to be.
Yeah, be really nice to the right people. That's what it usually is. Okay, all right. So that's all I've got for you. What I'd like to do is I'd like to talk to you about homework 8. Okay, homework 8 is not homework 7. I don't like it as much, but I still really like it. This is probably my second favorite homework in the course. This is the homework where your engine starts to really feel legit. I mean, homework 7 it did, but homework 8, suddenly you have these objects and this realistic physics, right? And this is something that you offer to your users and something that they can just easily use. So your engine takes on a whole new world of usefulness when you finish homework 8 at a high level of quality, okay? Homework 8, physics, motion, rotation, forces, ray casting, okay? If you're used to Unity and a lot of the features you have in Unity by default, well, we're recreating that, okay? in this homework, you too will create a rigid body component. And that rigid body component will basically launch and configure Box2D to start moving your objects for you. Okay? We will eventually get to the point where we've got this nice physics in here, and we're actually creating Rollerball from 494 Tutorial 1. The very first assignment in that class is Rollerball. This is just a 2D version of it. Okay? And you can get some actually pretty engaging platformer games out of it. You can play this if you want to. But it's not just about being abstract, okay? Games that are gorgeous and fairly artistic and sometimes realistic use exactly this physics engine, okay? Box2D, the physics engine that you'll be integrating into your engine, was used on Limbo. Has anyone played Limbo? Yep, famous game, beautiful, very serene, okay? Anyone play oh gosh, there was this game about these angry birds. Anyone play this game? Where's the 2D screenshots? Here we go. Right? Oh, yippee! It's like a Mario. And then the oinking when you mess up the puzzle. Boink, boink, boink. Okay, so Angry Birds uses Box2D. In fact, it was, I would say, one of the games that really made it famous. All right? So we have progressed through a lot of this chart. I don't have the homework 9 on there, but we've made it kind of to the end of the slide here. We've got our engine in a scriptable form, and now we want to power our engine up. We want to allow our users to very easily get good, high-quality physics into their engine without having to write it all themselves, okay? Or do some nasty hacks like I did. Okay, you know how I did collision detection on the Donna Shmup game? I think if you look through the Lua code, what did I do?
You just check the proximity of their transforms, right?
Yeah. Did I do the circle check, like distance check, or did I just do X, Y, box check?
I think you just did
Box check. Okay. Yeah, we just did a basic box check, and that's not how you want to do it, okay? Very slow, but that's okay. It works. Physics engines, right? Box2D, that's the one we're using. We've got Angry Birds in the house. If you are looking for something that is not Box2D, if you're looking for 3D, one of the big innovations of the last couple decades was the open source PhysX engine, which is created by NVIDIA. Okay, why would NVIDIA, a graphics card company, create a physics engine, give it away for free, and make it open source? Why?
So they can show off the power of their chips.
Yes, okay, because I'm pretty sure this physics engine, it's used in a ton of different engines and games, is optimized in particular to run with NVIDIA chips and not AMD chips or Intel chips. I think it'll still work, but it's just not as good. Yes?
On the new cards, like the new 50 series cards, I keep on seeing it, just that it's really bad.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same question of why would Google create the Chrome web browser and give it away for free, and open source a big part of it. And you're seeing why lately. Why?
To systematically force the internet to exclusively apply to their SEO limitations.
Yes. So Google creates the world's top web browser, and that's a very powerful hand if you need the internet to be a certain way. For instance, if you need ad blockers to disappear into the night, you've got a lot of control. There are things you can do if you own the major web browser. If everyone is using Firefox, Google can go pound sand. They can't do anything, right? Well, they can do some stuff. But anyway, it's one of the reasons you might do that. Havoc came before. It was one of the big famous 3D physics engines before PhysX came. And here's a 11-year-old trailer for Havoc. This is not a free or open source physics engine. Usually it's regarded as the most stable and the most performant physics engine.
What's your worst assignment for
And, you know, that's in terms of-
last night I actually had to do 20.
10-page paper. You know what the 494 students write every semester in the middle of their big project? Well, now no one's going to take 494. There are really easy essay assignments in 494 essays. Don't worry, there's no structure, there's no grammar. You just dump your brain, basically reflection, doing a postmortem on the project to force yourself to kind of remember and decide what you liked about the project, what you didn't, what you can do better next time. That's it. Yeah.
The worst was like, I'm misremembering my memories of Goldfish. Like a 2-3 page thing, and like if that, a 2-3 page thing at the very end of the semester.
There's a research essay that has you playing a bunch of games. It's 8 pages, that's split among like 5 people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So take 494. So a quick shout out to LA Noir. I think in this moment, like there's literally nothing you can do. If you know you're about to get clotheslined here, is there something?
If you walk and not run, you can close it.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that's cool.
One part where that rule is broken, but that is only one part way.
Okay, that's awesome. LA Noir, Assassin's Creed, Halo footage was in here. These are really big-time game franchises that will pay up to get the support and the performance that Havok provides, okay? So anyway, good example of a good open source solution, Blender, versus an industry standard, very expensive solution, Maya, right? That happens everywhere, okay? Eventually, hopefully, the open source catches up. Okay, physics engines. If you open up Unity right now, you're going to see that physics is handled in a couple different components, okay? The 494 students know this, but if you want this sphere right here to collide with things, well, you're going to need a couple components, okay? You're going to need... All right, what happened, Jose?
Nothing. It flung off.
Oh, yeah, it flung off because you got a good score?
No.
100%?
Don't worry about it.
All right. Michigan Animation Club finally respond? Okay. Rigid body component. The rigid body component right here, okay? The rigid body component is all about giving you physics, giving you a sense of velocity, giving you gravity, okay? Giving you angular velocity. The collider component up here actually tells the engine what shape your collider is. Because even if something looks like a sphere, you might actually want it to collide like a box or a capsule. It just depends on your game's design and what kind of movement and feel you want for your game, okay? There are a lot of different properties here, okay? And depending on what you want, you can customize and get some really interesting effects. So here's an example of a bunch of joints being used on a bunch of different game objects and creating this kind of chain effect, which is a little bit crazy, okay? The rigid body component is where it all starts, okay? It's called a rigid body, which is kind of a strange name, but basically it's saying it's a physics body that is not deformable, okay? You can't ship it. You can't squish it and make it all gooey. This isn't a blob of jelly, okay? This is something that is very rigid and has physics, okay? It's a very common component in many engines. In Unity, it is called rigid body. In Unreal, it is lumped in with all the other functionality of the static mesh component, an epic God component that Unreal loves to use. In Godot, it is also known as a rigid body, okay? And it's typically implemented in C++ to be as performant as possible, and also to interface with other engines that might be being used or other libraries. If you take a look at the component types, right? Look at the component types in this project right here. We have one called sprite render. But if you look in the basic scene, the intro scene of this game, you can see that we use 2 component types. We use sprite render, which is right here and defined in Lua, but we also use a rigid body component. Okay? We use a rigid body component, and thus, what is happening? Yeah.
The object has physics now.
Yep, the object has physics, yes. But how can this even work? Because this should crash, right? If an actor has a component type that does not exist in our component types folder, then it crashes, right? So what's happening? Yeah. This is the first example in the class of a C++ component. Okay? Your engine is about to truly go multi-language. You will have Lua components that the user, the game designer, can create and configure. But your game engine will also offer a built-in C++ component as well. And you'll be able to use it and manipulate it and destroy it and add it and customize it from Lua, from JSON, in the same way as all of your existing components. This is the moment when you discover just how good your engine codebase really is. Because this is either going to be fairly simple with just a few changes, or this is going to become a massive pile of spaghetti. Okay? Very nasty with tons of little bugs. Yes?
We love cooking, as Robbie says, we love cooking the pasta.
Yes, mamma mia, right? Step into the kitchen. We're going to cook some spaghetti on this homework, all right? I promise you it's not quite as bad as it might sound. It can be a little bit annoying if your code base is structured in an annoying way. But in general, I have some powerful advice that can make this very nice for you, okay? And hopefully they say this in discussion. We'll see. Your main mission here, get your C++ component object into a LuaRef as soon and as early as you possibly can. Because the moment it's in a LuaRef, just like all of your Lua components are inside of a LuaRef, you can now treat them more or less uniformly, and the code you've written to make the Lua components work should also more or less work on the C++ component. The longer that C++ component remains outside of a LuaRef, the more code paths you have to use to treat it in a special manner, okay? You don't want to have a ton of code in special case logic for C++ components. You will have some. You don't want a ton, okay? Because what did I say? Remember dry? If you have duplicate code, this code handles the C++ components, and this very similar code handles the Lua components. What is that going to cause? It's going to cause bugs. Copy-paste bugs. It's going to be nasty for maintaining your code base going on to homework 9, okay? So anyway, yeah, get that C++ component instanced, create a new C++ component instance, and then put it into that LuaRef as soon as you can, and you should be all right, okay? There are a bunch of examples and stuff to help you with this on the homework. LuaRef is a very, very flexible data type. It can hold C++ objects as what's called a user data, which is kind of like a table, but not quite a table. Okay, so yeah, this is not your final standard homework. Okay, this is not your final homework. This is your penultimate homework. Okay. Oh goodness, this is my problem with. Here we go. There we go. Yep, we're good. Nope. I have to fix something. You know, this is the equivalent of copying and pasting your code everywhere. Once you find one bug, you have to fix it in like 10 different places. Okay?
Oh, it's like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was gonna say you could do like an alt shift to kind of select them all, but
Possibly,
not all
yeah.
in one space. That's not gonna work.
Okay, so some convenient features will be implemented on this homework in addition to rigid bodies. One of those is the famous onDestroy lifecycle function. This is a function that will be automatically called when a component is destroyed, okay? That usually happens when the actor that the component is on is destroyed, right? You call actor.destroy. and boom, the component's going to get consumed with it. Okay, you need to call this function before you get rid of that component, so it has one last chance to clean things up and conclude its business. Okay. There's also a event pattern, or sorry, an architectural pattern you'll be implementing on Homework 8. This is a very, very common architectural pattern you'll find in engines. It is the kind of basis of event-driven programming, which, if you don't know what that is, basically it's programming with utilization of as many callbacks as you can. Okay? A callback function is when you have a function you would like to run when something occurs, usually some event. You make a few function calls to register that function with that event, and when the event happens, the function automatically runs. It's very nice. Okay? Here's an example. You have this HUD table, this HUD component, and on start, it will subscribe to an event called damage taken. It subscribes this component, the self component, and this function, okay, self.onDamageTaken, it makes this subscription happen. So whenever this damage taken event comes through or gets broadcast, whenever it gets published anywhere, this function, damage taken on this component, self, so the current one, will have this function run, okay? And we can adjust our health and we can print a message, okay? In the player, okay, if the player, let's see, gets to frame 4, it'll take damage. It will then publish an event called damage taken. It will then send an event through that says, hey, or an object through that says, hey, the actor that took damage was myself. The amount of damage taken was damage taken. I think, yeah, this is fine. And so this object right here, actor amount, this little table is going to come through as the event object and can be used to print this message and adjust this stuff in the HUD. Okay? If all of this is funky to you, don't worry about it. All right? We'll talk more about it on Wednesday to clarify things and give you some more examples. But it's a super useful pattern for actually programming games IRL. Okay? Like if you actually want to take these engines and make a real deal game after this class is done, you'll be very happy these things exist, okay? All right, raycasting is a very big deal. Raycasting is when you basically shoot a ray, or you cast a ray through 2D space to see if you hit anything, okay? In Unity, this is a very, very common thing to do, and here we can do it as well. So right here you see an actor going up and down. It is constantly casting a ray out to the right. Okay? And you can decide what angle you want the ray to launch at. You can decide where the ray starts. You can also decide how far it's allowed to go before it has to give up. In this case, we hit a few different objects. We hit this object. We don't hit this object because this object is, I believe, masked out of the raycast. We hit these objects down here, and every time our raycast hits something, we put a little sprite actor there. We instantiate these little red X actors to visualize the raycast. Here is the Lua code that shows all this happening. We store a reference to our own rigid body component right here in self.rb. We can then use that self.rb variable to do certain things, like we can get the right direction out of this object, out of this body. We can then call physics.raycastAll. We can give it the location we're currently at, right here. We get that from the rigid body itself. We give it the direction we want to shoot in, and we also tell it how far to go, okay? We will get a bunch of results, which is a table we can iterate through. And we just print the results. Whenever we get a result, i.e. we hit something new, we instantiate a little red X there, and then move that actor over there and have it show itself, okay? Not too crazy. It is a lot of code, but a lot of things need a lot of code when you're in Lua, okay? And so here's some tips for you, all right? You are nearly there, okay? Keep the pedal to the metal, okay? If you're a little bit behind, that's okay. You can catch up. Remember, you're going to get 1 week for free to catch up at the very end during that exam week. You'd like to use it for studying. If you need to use it to catch up, it's not the end of the world. There's nothing better for doing well on this exam than doing well in the homeworks. So if you can knock these homeworks out, guess what I'm going to ask on the exam? It's going to be more or less what you did on the homeworks. Okay? More or less. So, you're never going to believe this, but I think you should start this assignment early. The difficulty of this assignment is going to be determined partially by your code base at this point. If you've got a really nasty code base, things are going to start to get harder. If you've got all your code in a single file, it's going to be pain, okay? Please let me know, though, because I want to check it out. The autograder off date is in 3 weeks, and at the bottom of your submissions, you should see a new countdown that tells you exactly how much time before the autograder shut off, okay? Kind of like a doom clock, but don't worry, okay? You're going to make it. Just push hard, do the best you can, and you don't need all the points. Remember, there's a big chunk of extra credit coming at the end of the course. There's a bunch of easy points. There's like 100 easy points coming on the final 2 assignments of this course. They're very gently graded. And the exam, right, I promised to not make it the hardest thing in the entire world, okay? So hang in there if your grade's a bit lower than you want to right now, and you might be surprised by how much it recovers by the end, all right? The exam is in 3 weeks. So, yeah, I got to get cracking on that. I got to finish that thing up. Yep, if you're behind, yeah, that's not really true. Your engine will be very capable upon finishing, upon that autograder off date and getting those custom features in at the end of the course. Monogame and Pygame, for instance, do not have a built-in, ready-to-use, high-quality physics engine. So you are definitely drawing closer and closer to that Unity side of the Love2D Unity hybrid design that we currently have, okay? And if you add your own editor, or if you integrate something like Tiled, then you'll have something that looks way more like Unity than Love2D, okay? You should start thinking of custom features for that final 2 weeks, okay? And if you don't think of anything, we've got a lot of good ideas for you that I'll share in the next few weeks. Anyone have any questions on homework 8? Yeah.
I guess this could be answered like in this back. Outside of Box 2D, there's not much library stuff with here, right? Like it's just Box 2D.
No, it's just Box 2D. That's it, pretty much. You won't have any libraries to integrate for homework 9.
And then homework 10 and 11, basically whatever we decide to do.
Yep. 10 and 11 is integrating whatever you want to, if you need to. And then homework 12 is your postmortem. More easy points. Yep. Cool. You're almost there, everyone. You're working hard. I love seeing those submissions come in, those email grade reports go out. And keep it up, okay? Don't let it get you down. I put in some extra gifts recently to keep your spirits up, okay? So look for those if you can. And otherwise, we are going to talk more deeply about Box 2D and how to use it and how it represents stuff on Wednesday. But if you want to get started early, homework 8 will get you rocking on that right away, all right? The assignment spec has a bunch of good stuff. Okay, everyone. Office hours for the next 2 hours, and I will see you next time. Okay, we'll get a queue going up here, all right, in marker.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Here, you can take that first.
I think I'll